Pastor Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Well, I've brought you down to the belly of the beast today, down into the basement where I've got a little workshop, and you can see some of my tools on the rack above the bench behind me. Today I want to talk about the way that God tools us up for His work. Now, there are many different gifts that the Bible talks about God supplying to us in order to do His work. In fact, the more that we learn how to rely on God, the more that we see His power impacting everything that we do in His service and in our lives. Now, if I were to say to you, look at this rack back here and grab me a cutting tool, well, some of you might reach for something like this, a big old chisel. It's got a sharp edge on it, and you say, now that will cut. But you might miss all of these many rasps and files that I've got hanging back there on the rack. You say, well, that's not a cutting tool. Well, it most certainly is. You don't beat on the wood with it like a hammer. Every line on this file, every line on these rasps is a cutting edge. It cuts away material. It's the same way that we often don't recognize something as a spiritual gift if it doesn't fit a certain profile, it doesn't have a certain wow factor in it. And so we'll miss the work of God in really meaningful ways, or we'll not really see that God is working in our own lives or the lives of others because we don't think that their ability and their service really fits the bill as something spiritual and godly. For instance, we'll look at somebody who's on platform in church and who's preaching the word and on fire, and we'll say, wow, look at that, man, God has really anointed them. Or maybe even somebody who is in prayer and has great faith, and it seems like the miraculous follows after their prayers, and say, now see there, that is a real gift of God. But then we'll turn around and look at the person who works in the office, or a person who, tinkers fixing things around the church, or that person who offers us a cup of coffee on Sunday morning or greets us at the door with warmth and hospitality. And we'll just say, well, that's nice. They're doing their bit. They're nice people. But we'll fail to recognize that they too are anointed by God. They too are serving Christ. They're a cutting tool just as sharp as any and just as gifted and blessed by God. The 18th chapter of Exodus is really a meaningful chapter because of this. The other night at small group we were talking about the fact that Exodus 18 seems like kind of an odd chapter. We've been going through all of these different mighty and miraculous moves of God in all of the chapters preceding. I mean, it's been go through the Red Sea, have massive amounts of quail suddenly blown into camp, manna that you pick up, bread off the ground every day. These are miraculous, mighty things that Moses is a part of. And you're looking at that and saying, wow, look at the power of God. Look at this anointing that is upon his life and the power of God's Spirit. This is incredible. But then we get to chapter 18, and it's just kind of a mundane sort of set of events. We see Moses setting up each day to listen to people's problems, to settle their disputes, to give them a little bit of instruction in how to serve God in the moment. But we don't even hear any exciting cases. I mean, this is not a court drama that you're going to put on TV. This is really kind of boring. And we may not recognize the great power of God that comes when Moses receives some advice about how to manage all of these things. We're thinking this is just kind of, backstage sort of stuff that who cares? This is just management questions. And what's the big deal about it? But this is a moment when God is working in a really mighty way, because if Moses does not get some good management skills, if he doesn't really get some correction in this, he's going to lose the ability to do some of the other things that are very, very, very important, to be able to teach the people, lead the people, stay in connection with God. He's going to lose that wow factor for sure. And you see, God is working in those management abilities and those gifts and empowerments just as much as he is on all of the stuff that shows up with great miraculous power. In fact, in the Bible, we're told that the church is is like a body that has a whole lot of different parts: eye, mouth, ears, fingers, toes, and internal organs. And sometimes those unseen organs are way more important than we're giving them credit for. And it's the same thing with the gifts of God in his body, that there are so many different gifts that God has given you and me, and every one of them necessary to his work, every one of them a powerful cutting tool. And so the important thing for you and me is to take the best that God has put into us and do our best with it in serving him. Now may God bless you today, and as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.